I'm Perry and I live on a 55-foot narrowboat. I weave and run the odd gel plate printing workshop. I also print my own papers and my own fabrics where I'll make lampshades out of and things. I have an allotment which I'm absolutely useless at, and this is my life in a teacup. Hello peeps. Oh yes, it's a mug, but it is still china. Look, it's got pheasants on it. My friend Gail bought me this a couple of years ago. I love it. Pheasant is my favourite bird, I think I've said before. Hold on a sec. Lovely. Right, so it's New Year's Eve 2024, and I'm just hopping on to say I wish you all you wish for yourselves for 2025. It's interesting this time of year. I know some people find it quite melancholy, and I have done in the past. I mean, I don't feel like that now, but it can be a melancholy time. And I've been thinking about what I did or what I've done this year. And it's funny because the beginning of every year, I think everybody does the same thing. If you're not losing weight, going on it, mind you, I've got to go on a diet. Might have lost a few pounds having my hair cut, but yes, one has to lose a few pounds this year, but that's not in a big plan thing, and I do it. But I am going to make an effort. So, but we do usually try and make plans. And what was it John Lennon said? Life happens when you're making plans. And that's true, because you can make a plan, but unfortunately life does get in the way and your plan goes out the window. So I tend to not really make plans as such. And if I look at this year that's just gone, everything I've done, I haven't planned any of it, with the exception of the celebrant course that I did, because of course I'd started that back end of the year before. And as you know, I qualified in, I think it was June, as a celebrant with my City and Guild certificate and all of that goes with it. And I did my first wedding in August. Now, yes, I did a wedding, and I've only done one wedding, and I think I've decided I was in the wedding industry for so long, and I kept going back to it and thought this would be another way of remaining in the industry. And as much as I enjoyed doing the wedding, and the couple were really lovely, I don't think I'll be going into it, but never say never. You know what I'm like, there's something happening all the time. But yeah, so if I look at the year that's just gone, at the beginning of the year, I had the car that I owned was a Volvo X90, which I absolutely loved. It was second hand, you know, but it had its day. And I bought the Antara, the Vauxhall Antara. Now, I've always wanted to go to Scotland, and none of my friends, well, they would have liked to have gone, but not do it how I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it rough and ready camping. So in April, as you know, I converted my camper van, not my camper van, I converted my car into a car camper and took myself off to Scotland. I hadn't made any plans. I thought about it in the day of a particular day, in the daytime. And by 1 o'clock in the morning, I had worked out my route and gone online and booked all the sites I was going to stay at. I'd made that decision, and this was the day I was going, and off I went. So I did that, and had a fabulous time, as you know. I want to go back to Scotland again, and I may go this year, but I want to do the East Coast, whereas last time I went the West Coast, because I went from the southwest of England in Gloucestershire. I drove up to Lancashire, stayed with some friends, and I stayed in the car as well. But I visited parts of North Wales on the way. So I went North Wales, Lancashire, then I went into the Lake District, and then all the way up to Scotland, Dumfries and Galloway on the borders, and then all the way up to the Highlands to Skye. Thoroughly enjoyed it, as you know. It was wonderful, and I would urge anyone that wants to do something like that to go ahead and do it. So I did that, and of course, as a result of that, I did a couple of little vlogs, you know, piece to camera, as it were, and put it on my Facebook page and on one of my groups that I belonged to at the time, which was Women with Car Campers. And it was a couple of them and a few of my friends that had said, why don't you do a YouTube channel? Now, last year I hadn't even thought about that. It never even entered my head. And of course, here I am now with 980 something subscribers later. Thank you so much. And over about 50 videos. I've got a YouTube channel. And then I loved the camping so much, as you know, I bought my camper van, converted it myself. I would have liked to have got someone else to do it, but it cost thousands of pounds, and while they do a fabulous job, I wanted it very rustic, as you know. And I just thought to myself, Perry, do it yourself. Go on YouTube, teach yourself, which I did. and you've seen the results. I also taught myself to gel plate print and have made little bits and pieces and sold them from there. And I did my gel plate printing courses, which I started and which I'll continue to try and do next year as well. So none of that was the year before, that was all this year. And then with the converted Tilly teacup, my camper van, I went off to Devon and Cornwall and a little bit of Somerset as well. So that was great. So all of that, and again with the celebrant and doing the wedding, all of that, beginning of this time last year, none of that was in the plan. None of that was in the offing at all. And then, as you know, in November of this year, just from a pure conversation that I had with someone, it wasn't a plan, I up sticks, well, up my boat, if you like, and moved to a different mooring in Warwickshire. And none of that had been planned, so none of us knows what's going to happen. But whatever you decide to do, whatever plans you might make, I mean, I'd love to hear if you've got any plans for next year. You know, there's one couple that subscribed to my channel, and they're over in, I don't know if you can hear anything, but my stomach's just started rumbling. That was a bit loud, apologies for that. There's a couple that subscribe, and they're over in America. I presume they're Americans and they live in America, but they're traveling at the moment all over Texas in their RV. And all of that I'd love to do something like that, to be able to, no, I mean, not necessarily the States, but, you know, the fact that they're doing, I will do, but not on long stretches, because I've got my boat. But and I think they're living in their RV, and obviously with it being America, it's probably a great big unit, and also America caters more for people who travel around in camper vans and RVs and that sort of thing, whereas in this country, nah. Don't park here, you can't park here. And even in the car park, no overnight stay. So before, councils are missing a trick in this country, because they would make a phenomenal amount for the local council if they allowed people to stay in their camper van overnight. France, they're very accommodating. Scotland, I believe, well, I saw it when I was there. They're very accommodating. I think West Wales, a little bit, maybe not so much in the rest of Wales. I don't really know, because whilst I've lived in Wales, I've not camped in Wales. So England, let's talk about England. They're the worst for it. You can't camp anywhere, you get moved on. The amount of people that I follow who camp in their van, they go off for a couple of months at a time, they're touring through the UK. Nah, move on, you can't camp here. And it's just so short-sighted. And for God's sake, I know there has to be rules. Anyway, I won't carry on because I will get told off. We've all got opinions, I know. So yeah, there you go. But so I shall be doing that next year, doing lots of different things. And like I said, let me know what you're doing. It would be really interesting to find out what you guys are up to. I hope you've all had a fabulous Christmas. Again, I've been lucky this year. There's been no tragedies in my life this year. I mean, nothing will hit me like the death of my mum. I'm sure if you've had, people that lose children, that must be the worst thing in the world. But for me, losing my mum was the biggest heartbreak. But there you go, that's life, and you have to deal with it. So if any of you are going through a bad time at the moment, I do hope you come through it. You'll never get over it, obviously, but you will come through it at some point in your own time and when you want to. Don't let people tell you that you shouldn't or you should. It's entirely up to you. So wishing you all well, whatever your plans are. I do hope that 2025 brings everything you wish for yourselves to you. So on that note, I will say Happy New Year, have a fabulous time, all the best, and keep subscribing. See you, bye.